And nobody's going to come and save you. You have to save yourself. You have to make the choice that you no longer want to live the way that you have, and you no longer want to carry the shit in your life, and you do not want to be defied by it. And to understand that you can move through it. You can do it. It's in you.
Welcome to Fatherhood Voices, breaking the toxic cycle. Dive in as real dads bear all, the mess-ups, make-ups, and every heartfelt moment in between. It's raw, it's real, and it might just change the way you see family.
This episode is sponsored by Aloha Imports, the sprays that make your worst-smelling secrets disappear. Listen, I love people, but I don't love their shoes or their oops, I ate a burrito bathroom breaks. And I really don't love pretending I don't smell it. That's why I keep Aloha Imports products in the house, in my car, honestly, probably in every bag I own. They've got Sweet Feet for foot funk, Shoe Fly for that one pesky fly, Smoke Off for smoke clouds that linger like your last situationship, and Crapper Zapper for the bathroom situation. You know the one. Aloha Imports doesn't cover it up with flowers and lies. They end it, silently, like a tropical ninja with a vendetta. So if you live with roommates, pets, or anyone who eats food and then, processes that food, you need this. Go to alohaimports.com, stock up, and enjoy living in a house that doesn't smell like a regret.
Welcome to another episode of Fatherhood Voices. We are now in Season 2, 2025, and what better way to start this off than to bring my oldest, and that would be Alyssa. Welcome, Alyssa.
Hello. I'm excited to be launching Season 2 and to be a part of this.
Nice. Well, let's see if you're still excited at the end, and if we're still talking at the end of this episode.
Okay, we shall see.
So, it's been a journey over the last year since we last recorded the episode together. And a lot of people have asked, well, where's the relationship going? The one question I get over and over again is, when I share the story of my relationship with my girls and just a lot of the trauma and narcissism that went on that impacted their childhood. A lot of people ask, the first question that people ask is, how's your relationship now? How are you doing with the girls? And I like to say that we're a family that's healing, and we still have bumps along the way. But that's what this episode is about as we launch into episode 1 of Season 2. And just to do a check-in from last year. And if you haven't watched last year's episode, I believe it's 5 or 6. And that was a good one. We really exposed and got down to the nitty-gritty of what life looked like in the Rodari household. So with all that, blah, 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 welcome, Melissa. How are you?
I'm doing amazing.
So you've had an interesting year, and we're going to dive into your journey, the journey over the last year that you've had. We're going to dive a little bit into your ayahuasca journey. So you sat with ayahuasca.
I did. I sat with ayahuasca in December of last year, so I got to close out last year with a beautiful ceremony.
Powerful, and just truth be told, this is something that I was pushing you for a while to do, and then finally I just had to back off because it wasn't the right way to approach it. And then when you were ready, you finally decided to start that journey.
I did. I felt like something was calling me, and it felt almost random, but I realized I had been manifesting something for a while, but I got to a point where I needed to move forward. I needed to level up that healing because I felt like I was getting stagnant. And when I went to go see if there were any ceremonies or anything in my sphere of influence, I randomly stumbled upon the perfect opportunity. And it's almost like everything made sense to where if I didn't take the opportunity, I would have just been making excuses for myself.
And, and we're going to dive deeper into that, but it was beautiful because the shaman that you sat with, Daniela, also sat with, she was my shaman when I started, when I was in my early journeys with ayahuasca, and also your mothers and so forth, and a lot of people within our tribe. So to be able to have her continue to serve and assist with the healing of our family has been a beautiful component.
It was very beautiful.
So we're going to dive into that. But before we even go deep into that reflection and inward journey, other exciting news is we're finally working together. After 4 or 5 years,
We are back in business and partnership.
we are back. And the last time we were in business, I threw you out. Actually, I fired you. And there's multiple firings because the last time was when we worked in real estate together and it didn't end well. And a lot of stuff went flying out. I want to say even your laptop went flying out, all your paperwork and everything, and it threw you out the office. There were an exchange of words, and that ended our real estate partnership together 4 or 5 years ago. No, actually, it was
I,
no, it was pre. It was actually longer because
well,
my
I've been
journey
fired
started.
twice.
Yes,
I've been
so
fired twice in real estate.
you have been fired twice.
Well,
Okay,
more
so
than that, the small, but officially, like thrown out the office, like this is it, we're done. It's been a couple times.
it's been more than 5 years because I was on my once I started my journey, things shifted. So that was probably well. Let's go actually back a little bit further and talk about the first firing that happened. Ooh, this was when you were just fresh out of high school.
I was 18.
And you were 18. And actually, you know what? I want to go a little bit further back because our business relationship with father and daughter actually starts when you were in your early
Middle school.
middle school. So, what, 10, 11 years old?
Yes.
And I had a business called Aloha Imports. And with that business, we used to sell a lot of stuff from Hawaii and so forth. And then we changed it up and started. I remember we started selling remote control cars and helicopters and boats. And this was, I want to say, probably like in 2010, maybe around there.
It had to be about 2008, actually.
2008. Okay, so this is before when remote control cars and helicopters were just becoming the trend. So the big box retailers didn't have them, so they were niche items. And I remember connecting with a distributor out in Almani and buying thousands of dollars of product. And I remember going to the swap meet, and we would sell the products. It was a Santa Fe Spring swap meet.
Well, I remember waking up at like 4:30, maybe 5 a.m. and having to drive because we lived in San Clemente at the time. So we
That's
drove all the way
right.
from San Clemente to the Santa Fe Springs swap meet over there. So that was my first experience in business, was actually waking up early in the morning, driving down with you, and going to go sell those remote control helicopters and cars.
That's right. And we would get up. So we lived in San Clemente. We would get up probably about 3:34 in the morning. We had the excursion at the time, so we would pack up all the product and we'd be there by 5, set up, and then start doing our thing. And you were the demo tester, and you were out there engaging people, and you got a percentage of the sales.
I did. That was what kicked off my sales career.
Yeah, I remember times where I think it was during Christmas time, you actually made a couple $100 in one weekend. What'd you actually do with that money?
I don't remember. Actually,
Okay.
this is news to me.
What, do you remember making that much money, or did I
No.
keep? Oh, oops.
No, I don't.
Oh, or
I
may-
could have. I just don't remember.
Yeah, or maybe you did, but I just kept some
Probably
of it.
Okay, so
Just
you owe me
invest
money.
it. No,
We'll talk about that later.
But so yeah, that's where entrepreneurship career started with you, is working together. So with Aloha Imports, and I remember I started getting busy. I was in my corporate career and starting to get real busy, so it was becoming more of a issue to be able to go and continue to do it over the weekends. And in retrospect, I look back now and I kind of wish I would have kept it going because that was our bonding time. That was, we would go and we'd grab some donuts and some hot chocolate or grab something to eat. And yeah, we just had that time together. We just shared those moments.
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was bonding. But I do remember that at one point when you had to shut the business down, though, that I actually wanted to take it over and I wanted to continue it on.
Wow, you're really going to go there.
I'm just, we're talking unfiltered.
So, yes, so you wanted to take it over. And what happened?
I think that you just got busy and I wanted to take it over, and I might not have been at that point yet, or maybe you just didn't have the time to teach me because you were busy with other things and I had wanted to carry on the business, which actually I did not remember this. You actually reminded me of this.
Yeah, one regret I do have is not let you take over the business because we were online and social media wasn't a thing yet. and we're selling, like I said, at the swap meets, and we had the website, and you want to take it over, but I didn't think you were old enough. And shame on me for casting my fears and doubt onto you, because I kind of wonder sometimes where that could have gone.
Well, now we could take it even further than ever.
We can, but so fast forward, so we move away from the Aloha Imports business, and we park the name for the next couple of years, and then we launch a new business. So a Sweet Feet Spray. We launched Sweet Feet Spray back in 2012, along with a couple other products. It was a Smoke Off Spray and Crapper Zapper Spray and
Shoe Fly Spray.
Shoe Fly Spray. And then we were working on U-Glow. And I remember during that time, it really started picking up, and I started traveling across the country to different trade shows and so forth. And you were just getting out of high school, so now was your time to shine, and you wanted to get involved. So and back up a little bit, because when we started the business, when we first started, you and your sisters and everybody in the family was sitting there packaging. You guys were filling bottles and putting labels on.
Oh, yes.
Packaging them to counter display. So the whole house smelled of, because our flagship product was Sweet Feet Spray. And right there in the mix of it, you guys were just, it was like a little bunch of workers, underage workers, almost like a sweatshop, and just, cramming out orders because we were getting busy.
Look, I love our products, but for a minute, and sometimes it was just too strong, too much. It was a nice break when I come back to them now.
Yeah, that was a fun time. I mean, our garage was full of product, and actually the home theater room. It's almost like, luckily we had a big house, because half the house was converted into a warehouse until we did get our warehouse. The one thing I remember is you wanted to go to trade shows. You wanted to start going to selling. So went to the Dallas trade show, and it was a health and beauty trade show in Dallas, Texas, and we shipped product out. We shipped everything out there. Our booth, we had a big booth, and we went out there, and we had our first hiccups. Coming out of high school, and a little bit bumpy. As I recall, I fired you that day before the trade show even started. It was the day before, and we're setting up.
It started.
Your attitude is kind of what manifested, and then I just wasn't going to tolerate it because I was running a business.
Okay, wait. Let's talk about what happened.
I fired you.
Let's talk about what happened that led up to that attitude. First of all,
it was entitlement.
No, first of all, we took a red eye. I'd never been on a red eye before, so that was rough. Okay. And then to be ahead, we were about 2 hours ahead, so that was rough to not have sleep. And then you decide that every time we travel, that you want to make an adventure out of how can we choose the most difficult way to get to the hotel. Every trip, this is a common thing. Now I can appreciate it. It's fun. And now when I get lost, I'm like, okay, I got this. My dad trained me for this. However, back then it was really annoying. And we took a shuttle to another shuttle to a train to be told we need to catch another train. But then the time was incorrect. And I remember that we got stuck, and I wanted to just take a car down to the hotel, and you said, no, we're going to go this way. We're going to continue on. And mind you, we had all of our luggage.
Now, this is before Uber, okay?
This is before Uber.
Uber and
Lyft.
Okay,
Lyft did not exist. So it was like
we
taxi.
Probably should have came up with that idea when all this shit was going on, but it
would have been helpful. But then we ended up, and also we're in Texas, by the way. This is summer. So we're not used to Texas summer. At least I'm not used to Texas summer. So it's heating up. And by this time, we're getting closer and closer to where we're hitting the height of the temperature.
So we're traveling in trains, planes, and automobiles.
And then you finally decided to call the hotel, see if the shuttle could come pick us up. And yes, the shuttle was able to come get us. However, they forgot about us. They forgot about us, and then they remembered. And then 45 minutes later, after spending an additional 45 minutes after the half an hour that we spent at the train station, we finally got picked up. Made our way back to the hotel, dropped our stuff off, and then we took a shuttle straight to the trade show.
That's right, because we had to set up.
So that was the before of my attitude. That was my tiredment and my anointment of just wanting to get to the hotel. Yeah,
so always a backstory to things, but the end result was in that midst of commotion and chaos, I did fire you.
No, I was tired. The trade show did start, but I wasn't.
That's right. Started that afternoon.
It started.
Okay. That's right. We got
We
there that
went right
morning,
into it.
and we were invited to trade show. So it was,
We would have
there
had
was
a break,
urgency.
but we took too long to get at the hotel. So it was set up. We were kind of rushing to get everything together, and then it was, okay, now it's on. Now we got to start engaging.
Now, did you engage with any customers? I think you did before I fired you. I think you weren't peppy enough.
I may have, or I kind of just sat back and let you take the reins just because I was tired. And then that's when my attitude kicked in. And then that's when I got publicly fired because let's remember, we were in an open floor with vendors all over, left, right, straight across from us, rows of people that, yes, definitely did witness that.
Yeah, other companies that are now in different retail space were all around us. And yes, it was a very public firing. And I was loud back then and definitely very in my ego and my masculine and my pride. And yeah, it definitely was a public firing.
Wait, I have a question I never asked. Did anyone ever say anything to you or asked what happened, or
Oh,
they
yeah.
just stood?
Oh,
Okay.
no. People came and asked, is everything okay? Yeah, no, people did ask.
Okay.
Looking back, I guess it was kind of, I wasn't embarrassed at the time, but yeah, it probably was embarrassing.
But
Because you left in tears.
yeah.
It was pretty traumatic.
But to flip that around, though, that did push me to realize after that night that if I wanted to stay there and I wanted to do that, that I was going to have to come into my power and now take control. And I remember the next morning, I got up earlier than you.
Well,
I
wait a
got
minute.
ready.
Wait, before that, I thought you were going to catch a flight home.
Oh, I was talking
yeah.
to my mom about it.
Yeah, you were going to leave. So, and then what shifted that you decided? So now give me to that because you were going to book a flight back home. You were going to leave. You were done. Our relationship was already.
I just realized that if this is something that I wanted to make a career out of, and if this is something I wanted to be a part of, that I would be throwing away part of that opportunity by leaving. So I really wanted to be a part of it. I really wanted to make it work. So I realized that it was on me now. Now I had to shift my mindset. I'm graduated. I'm in the real world. This is what it's like. If you don't put in the effort, then you get fired or you get replaced. That's what it is. So it was that harsh reality, that tough love that hit me. And I realized that I had to look inward and bring it out without having the words to be able to describe it back then. But that's what I had to do.
That's what you had to do.
And I changed my mindset by that next morning. And I believe there was a conversation where I said that I was going to go in the morning. And you said that if I wanted to stay, I'd have to go and show you that I was going to turn it on and be engaging with people. So that's what I did. I got up early. I got ready. I hopped on that shuttle. And then I got out there. And that's when it really started being brought up.
That's right. And just a precursor to this is, and I think we talked about this in our last episode we did together, but every day when I would drop you off at school, I would make you sell me a pencil or something. Oh my gosh. And so, because I wanted you to be able to sell yourself, so when you went for a job, and so I'd always pull out a pencil or keys or a paperclip or something, and I would have you sell me on it before you got out the car. And I know that would annoy you and would piss you off, but I know that when you did get your first job, it did help you because they had you sell a pencil or pen.
It actually was a hacky sack. I actually was so grateful for those lessons because my first job was for a retail store in Victoria Gardens. And the first thing that they had me do, that pre-interview, was selling a hacky sack to them. And I was able to just dig into that knowledge and turn it on. And that's what got me the job.
That is so cool. So you come back, you turn it on. Now the rest of the trip is now, it's shifted. So, and this is a powerful moment because, especially for a relationship with a father and daughter or father and son, is although you can have that, chaos and, bad interactions because of poor choices, whatever, whether it's the children that did it or the father that did it or even the mother, you can come back from it. You can kind of put it aside and just regroup and move forward. And I think a lot of times when there's meltdowns with fathers and their children, nobody's willing to come back to the table because of ego or pride. And I'm glad that in this moment, we were able to come back together and salvage the trip and then make beautiful memories. Because had you left, that would have probably been a trauma point that we'd have to heal also.
That's true. Actually, we had a lot of fun
We
that
had
next
a
night. We
we
had
had a
fun.
blast.
I went to my first bar.
You went to your first bar, so in Texas, uh, your children could drink at 18 if they're with their parents. I think it was six. No, well, it was 18. And we went to, I don't remember what it was called, but it was an outside bar with a stage. And
It was really cool. It looked like a backyard. It felt like there was part of it that was a restaurant, but then when you go outside, it was like being in someone's backyard with the live band,
with about 500 plus people,
which was so cool.
picnic tables and everything. And yeah, we shared our first beer together at 18, but it was legal in Texas.
It
So
was-
it was a blondie.
It was a blondie.
We had a
yes, I
blondie
can say that.
together, and had a great time. Ordered food, and then we went traveling. We jumped on the shuttles, and we went and visited the JFK,
did.
where he was assassinated, in his museum. We went to some of these beautiful hotels. Had like an appetizer, and just we worked hard during the day, during the trade show, but then at nighttime we went out and explored. We listened to music. Yeah, that was a great time.
That was fun.
That was a lot of good memories. And so now we're at it again, huh? So what do you think? I just want to take a look at some of these notes that I wrote here. And so we talked about, definitely getting fired. And now we're working together. And the relaunch of our business is back. And that's a whole Sweet Feet spray in the Sweet Feet line. So excited about that. And it's nice to have you back and now working on the inner workings from the manufacturer side to the distribution of it to just everything. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm excited because I was too young to learn or to even be interested in all of the little things, all the small details that it takes in building a business or building a product, just from the beginning of the formation of it. So that's what makes me excited. And then also learning all these resources, all these different things, all these different steps that it takes that I was just too young to appreciate. And I didn't have the chance to be a part of because I was in high school and, I was doing school with my social life and everything. So the trade shows, I'm excited to take more trips with you. I'm excited to do these different events, but I'm also excited just to get down to the inner working of how do we structure this business? How do we market this product?
And the exciting thing is not only are you coming on board, but your sisters are coming on board too. And everybody's taking a place in the company to start to really build this niche brand. And now with the power of social media, which really didn't have back then, and now being able to leverage that and take the products directly to consumer, man, how powerful is that going to be?
Oh, I'm excited for the creativity.
Yes.
This is where my creativity gets to shine. So I'm really excited to dive into that.
The probably one of the most beautiful things that's coming out of all of this is as we're relaunching and is we're now approaching it in a whole different way because all of us have sat with the medicine, whether it's mushrooms or ayahuasca or bufo, wachuma, and so forth. Oh, you've actually sat with wachuma.
I've sat with Wachuma.
I've got, which is grandfather. So so you've sat with grandmother and grandfather.
I have.
Oh, wow. That just kind of came to me. I forgot about that. So, especially for this part of the journey, now relaunching the brand and coming from a place of conscientious. I know we were having a conversation just the other day. Didn't even know we were going to do this podcast. It's just kind of resurrected, just kind of as
Came out of
after
it.
I'm like, you know what? Let's go out and just, as I'm launching season 2, what if a perfect place to start and start with, you. And the conversation was that, this time we're approaching this business, but we don't care about the money. We're approaching it from a place of conscientiousness and doing the right thing and wanting to create sustainable products that are organic and free of a lot of toxins and so forth. So that's nice to be able to launch this when we're already in a good place and to be able to find ways to give back at the same time. So I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
This journey. So I do want to touch a little bit on my journey with ayahuasca, because I now that you've sat with the medicine, ayahuasca especially, I want to get your reaction to it, and then I want to talk a little bit about your journey. And I remember coming back in February of 2020, and I came back smiling and happy, and just full of love and life. And I remember not only you, but your sisters, but even your mom, but even my real estate team, like everybody was like, what the fuck happened to you? Like, you know,
Who is this man?
yes. Did you join a cult?
Did you join a cult? That
What
was
the fuck did Danny do?
Did you do witchcraft?
And that was a bumpy year, because not only did I just come back from sitting with the medicine, but then the pandemic hit. And now we went into COVID. So I came back the end of February, and then a couple of days later, the world shut down. And so now we're navigating this whole new dynamics of me trying to come back and work on healing the relationship with my kids, my family, and nobody's having it. And especially you. You were one of the most. You were a fucking bitch. I'm just gonna call it like.
Well, I thought you were fucking crazy. So.
You know, you were very, very mean. You're very toxic in how you approached it. And yes, I know we were coming off of just reuniting our relationship and so forth. But yeah, you were ugly.
Okay, thank you, Dad. Let's talk about what happened. I actually remember telling you off in a conference room when you were trying to recenter the business, and you were talking about how things were going to shift moving forward, and you were very much in your power, and you seemed a lot more leveled, which was great for you, but you were bringing in a lot of changes, and it was happening really fast, and you were trying to recenter everything and talk about the new direction we were going in, and you were kind of sharing your journey a little bit, and I just remember being so pissed off. One, I didn't understand it. So I thought you were fucking crazy when you were talking about all this different stuff. I was like, you're doing witchcraft. You joined a cult. There is no way. And then the second part of that was when I realized how much peace you found and how much light that you found, I got angry. I got really
very
angry, very resentful, because I didn't think it was fair. I thought it was really unfair that, you got to go and experience all this light and this beauty, and you got to work through all of that stuff, all the traumas and all of your choices and everything that you had caused myself, my sisters, our family. But yet here we were left with the pieces, and you wanted to just move forward, but we weren't even in a place to even process any of that stuff. So of course, yeah, I was mad. I was pissed off.
I remember a letter you wrote me, a scathing letter. That
was it the multi-page one?
Oh yes,
front and back.
Front and back,
a
couple of pages. It was basically you called it out. You called everything out. Yeah, it was. It was part of the journey. It needed to happen, but that was your truth. That was your truth, and I was in a place where I just didn't understand. Like, here I'm showing up now. I'm showing up. I'm trying to be a better father. I'm trying to be a better person, and nobody was receiving it, and that was hard. That was hard, because I kept on my journey. I came back and that continued, and then that's when I started my trek of travel. During COVID, I traveled the world. I traveled to any country that would take me, and just was trying to find myself, and I was just at peace. I was finally at peace, and that was powerful, And then, I guess over time, and I guess the one thing I could say is when about plant medicine and so forth, is you can't tell anybody to do it. You have to lead by action. Speaks louder than words. And people will get curious because they'll see how you show up, and they'll start asking questions. The one thing I learned is when I came back, I wanted everybody to do it. You're fucked up, and you're fucked up, and you're fucked up, and your mother's
True
fucked
story.
up, and you're fucked up. And I was just letting everybody know that I thought was fucked up, and you need to come sit with the medicine. And I was even willing to pay for them to go sit because they were so fucked up. But yeah,
not the right way to approach it.
Not the right way to approach it.
You learned. You lived. You learned.
And instead, what it did is it caused a lot of resentment, and it actually ended a lot of friendships and relationships and so forth, which was okay because those needed to end. But now fast forward, 5 years later, I've come to the realization that you can't lead anybody to the medicine. All you can do is you can show up as a better version of yourself. You can share your story, and if they ask questions, then you engage. But otherwise, it's not your, it's not for you to decide whether or not someone should go and sit with plant medicine.
That's true. They need to come to the realization on their own.
And I know, when I started my journey, then you guys followed, and you did end up sitting with mushrooms.
I sat with mushrooms first.
And that was a powerful experience, and that there was a lot of unraveling and a lot of pain and trauma that you had to unravel, and that helped. But then you stopped. And not that you need to continue, but then there was some time, and then Wachuma showed up.
Yes, so I stopped because the place I was in my life, I didn't make it a priority, and there was no room to grow at that level. I wasn't there yet.
That's right.
And that's what I realize now. I was in a very dark place. I was didn't have a support of network or people around me that would support me in that. And there were some more negative voices that spoke louder than the positive ones.
I'm just going to say you were in a toxic relationship.
Yeah, I was in a toxic relationship, which didn't leave a lot of room for growth. But until that toxic relationship ended, then that's when I realized that the unraveling was happening at a very fast rate that I wasn't prepared for. And Wachuma came into my path, and I decided that if there's any way to center myself and to center all these things that are moving and changing, that this would be the perfect opportunity.
And Wachuma is grandfather medicine, and it's peyote, and it's a 12-hour ceremony. Sometimes it can be a 16-hour ceremony.
Actually, it was longer. I think mine's about 14 hours.
It's about 14 hours. So, and that's, as a grandmother, ayahuasca is the grandmother. It goes to the soul and core of your hurt and trauma. Which also there's a lot of beauty in it that it unravels. But Wachuma is the activator, so it's more of the masculine, and it's supposed to activate all your dreams, your wants, your desires. But sometimes it can also, if you haven't balanced yourself, it can do the opposite, and it can take you to a dark place.
I think I spent years unraveling and processing my Wachuma journey, and by the time I got to ayahuasca, it finally closed some things for me. Like, it brought it full circle. So Wachuma really was my activator, but it brought to light a lot of things, a lot of hard things that were hard to deal with. And ayahuasca finally closed that out. It finally let me purge out those things that no longer served me.
So now we fast forward to your ayahuasca ceremony, which just happened in the last couple of months. So December of last year, so 4 months ago. Are you open to share a little bit of your journey? Because I think it's whatever you want to share, but then also the dynamics of how it correlates with us. But first with you.
Okay. So first of all, I was terrified. Even though I had worked with mushrooms and I had worked with Wachuma, I was terrified because I had heard so many things. I had learned some things, but I also learned that I had to shut it out because everybody's journey is different. However, from some of the, I'm just going to say crazy things to me that I've heard, I was really scared because I didn't know what to expect. And no one can prepare you for ayahuasca, but you can bring yourself to a place where you can be ready for it. And I will share that one of the most impactful things that came out of my ceremony was my inner voice. Because when things got dark, when I was dealing with the hardcore traumas, when everything just felt chaotic, I found that my voice was so encouraging. And I would have never known that had I not gone through it, because I could hear myself. I was talking to myself saying, you got this. You got this. I'm so proud of you. Come on, let's go. Find your breath. Like things like that. I would have never known that I could have been so encouraging to myself because I used to have such a negative talk to myself. So that was really beautiful for me.
When you were leading up to the ceremony, when you just finally decided to do it, there was a lot of butting heads between us.
Yes, there was.
And it was, I wanted to be a resource for you, but you weren't allowing it. So whenever I would try to give you, I don't want to say give you some best practices, but give you some things to um, really think about when you're thinking about your intentions. It's almost like they blew up. It was just example. I was trying to help you, but you received it very differently, and it caused a lot of. It almost got to the point where you didn't want to do it just because you were so pissed off. Like instead of me helping you, it was doing the exact opposite. So I didn't know if this ceremony was actually going to happen
Well, I didn't know if I was actually going to go to
up
ceremony
until
either up until the day before or until the day of because I was just so nervous. But I think what that was is that was my fear. That was my anxiety coming out to where I just didn't want to hear any of it. I just wanted to put in the back of my mind. I didn't even do my intentions until the last minute, but it was okay because it happened the way that it was supposed to. But I just wanted to push everything off until reality started hitting in that I was getting closer and closer, and it was just consuming me.
And I know as a father that sat with the medicine many times. I want to be there as a support and offer guidance, but you weren't receiving it. But the beautiful thing happened is, and then I was supposed to take you, but I got sick. I got sick with the flu, and so then I didn't take you. I did pick you up, but I didn't take you. But once you started your journey that night, then you reached out to me, and that was powerful.
Yes. Um, if I'm being totally honest, I didn't know if I was going to do ceremony the second day because I did a weekend, so it was 2 nights of ayahuasca, and after the first one, I felt pretty discouraged because I was dealing with a lot.
It
But
was rough.
it was
It
absolutely
was
rough.
a nightmare.
Yeah, it was. It was like a nightmare that wouldn't stop. But what I realized was that I was the creator of that nightmare. And I just struggled so badly to get myself out of it. And even the facilitators and the team that was there to help, every time that I asked for help, it was always like, it was like a mirror being put in front of me. It was, there's something you're not letting go of. And you need to let it go. And you need to work through these things was basically the gist of what I was getting. And honestly, at that point, I was like, this is bullshit. Can you give me something else? Because this is not working. What you're telling me is bullshit. But that is what I learned after was my own resistance. I wasn't allowing to just let go and to fully give in. I was fighting. I was fighting the medicine. And up until right before we were going to do it the next day, I finally just decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I had really encouraging people that were around me. And I was really honest when I was integrating with them about what I was struggling with. And that sparked a lot of beautiful conversations was that I felt a community of people that were saying like, you're right there, you're going to get this. Like, I just know, just keep going. People who were more experienced than me were just, who could relate to what I was going through. They gave such beautiful and powerful words that just encouraged me to say, you know what? You're right. I am going to do this. So by the second night, I came in with the mentality that, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to push through this. And I was there having a conversation with Mother Aya saying, I need your help, but this is what I'm going to do. So please help me because I'm not going to stay here any longer. So I came into my feminine masculine, but in a different way of where I empowered myself to say, okay, I'm going to move through this. And it didn't feel any easier as far as what I went through, but it did feel lighter because my mindset had changed. It had shifted. So even though I thought I was done, and even though I felt like I lived one of the worst nightmares of my life, something shifted in my subconscious that I didn't realize until that moment that I was no longer in that place anymore. And the medicine was working. And I was able to take that power and now move forward through these things. And what came out of that was something very beautiful. I found my inner light and my love. And that moment, there was a moment during ayahuasca when I found my inner light and my love, when it finally broke through. And it was such a huge aha moment because I literally said, wow, this is what it's like. Wow, this is me. This is what other people see. This is beautiful. How could I not see this?
Wow. I remember picking you up, and so I went and picked you up, and just seeing your face, and just so much lighter, and just wow. And being so happy that you had started this path to healing. And and this isn't for everybody. Plant medicine isn't for everybody, but you did try different modalities along the way. So there was, and I won't go too deep into that because that's your story if you want to share. But you did do a lot of different things to try to cope with a lot of the trauma that you had as a child, and things growing up. And then you studied psychology at Cal State Fullerton. So you learned deeper insights into the academia side and the psychological side. But I just don't think that it was enough to help you through the process of healing at that point in your life.
Yes, I did try different things. I studied psychology. I read up on books. I tried meditation. I tried different things, but I think that part of that was me running from what I need to deal with. I didn't want to deal with the trauma at its core or any of these things that impacted me at its core until finally I got to a place where I said, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm tired. And thankfully, at that point, I didn't feel like I was in such heavy darkness as the other times that I turned to plant medicine to be the tool to help me out. But I did feel like I needed and I wanted something more. I needed healing that was more than what these tools could give me at that point.
Wow.
And I finally said yes to myself.
And what would you say for someone out there that's maybe on the fence, not trying to convince someone, but someone's on the fence that maybe they're thinking about trying it, but they're scared, and maybe they're in kind of the same position that you were at, maybe coming off of a toxic relationship and dealing with narcissism in the household, being in a home that wasn't emotionally safe. What would you share with, especially for the female audience that are maybe have thought like, yeah, therapy's not working for me, and what would you say?
I would say use that fear to empower you because that fear only exists in your mind. And you are capable of pushing through that block that you have. And that it's okay to be scared and it's okay to feel your emotions. But when you live in your emotions, it starts to take over all the different parts of your life without you even realizing the decisions you make, the people you keep around, the decisions you don't make. And I would say yes to yourself. Commit to your healing. You have to. I'm like losing my words here. That's a tough one because I've been there. I guess I can also answer that question with something very powerful that happened in ceremony was at some point I was at a point where I had finally broken through and found my light. And I became very aware to the other people around me in that room. And I heard them going through their own traumas. And my first thought was to be fearful, that there is a lot of darkness around, there's a lot of trauma, and that I need to put my wall up and I need to protect myself just because the sound was so triggering. However, when I decided to just sit with that, I found beauty in it. And I found that there was so much beauty that came out of all these hard things that everybody was going through, and how beautiful it was to share in the healing, the deeply rooted healing of everybody. And nobody's going to come and save you. You have to save yourself. You have to make the choice that you no longer want to live the way that you have, and you no longer want to carry the shit in your life, and you do not want to be defined by it. And to understand that you can move through it. You can do it. It's in you.
So fast forward, we're now 4 months past your journey, and a lot has shifted. So, the one thing before I forget is, what I would. There's a text you sent on Saturday night / Sunday morning, like at 1:30 in the morning when you came out of ceremony.
I remember.
Beautiful text. I wonder if in this podcast, at this point, um, you can read it and just share it in the podcast. That would be beautiful if somehow we can uh, overlay that into the podcast, because those two paragraphs, man, those are powerful. I asked you if I could share them with a couple other people, and I shared them with some of my
Yes.
spiritual brothers and sisters. They were just like aha moments where it just like it clicked. And what a powerful moment to be able to share with the audience of just coming out of ceremony, and when it all just connected. So if you're open to that,
Yes, I'm open, definitely.
then we can dub that in, and you can voice it and just share it, because that'll really give people a true, almost in that moment, what it felt like to be coming out of ceremony and see the light.
It was so amazing. I can't even fully put into words, but I found the real me. And I released everything, so much weight I was carrying around that no longer served me. I am truly free now. I found my divine feminine. She is so beautiful. I am an embodied light, beauty, positivity. I am so grateful to Mother Aya for being such a strong teacher and leading me through this sacred journey in space. She helped me realize I'm every single thing I need. It was always right inside of me.
And I think this is also important to touch on since we're talking about it, especially for those that are on the fence about it. I can't even describe to you the amount of love and beauty and light that I felt. You're talking about I walked into this space and I seen these people and they seen me. And after that second night, when everything just connected and it hit, people were telling me that I looked different. My voice was different, from ceremony to other people that I interacted with on to even today. And that was all because I did the hard work. I went through everything I needed to, and I fully felt and now embrace all of that love that I got out of it. Believe me, it's hard work, but I wouldn't change a thing. I would do it over and over again.
And the reason it's important that we're sharing this, and not because this is an episode on plant medicine, but this is a story of a father and a daughter healing, and the way we were able to fast forward our healing, it's through plant medicine.
It
Because
was.
I don't think without plant medicine, I honestly don't think if we would have ever healed our relationship in this lifetime.
Well, like you said it, even when you try to provide guidance before, I just wasn't hearing it because I wasn't in a place to receive it. I had to be in a place to receive it. And it wasn't until after I had gone through everything and after I went through ceremony that I was finally in a place where I could hear you, because I finally understood you and I understood what you were saying. And also, there were a lot of things that you did not tell me that I was not prepared for, but I finally heard you.
And then, fast forward, things started changing in your life. There was a whole shift with careers and so forth, and I can say you got laid off,
I got laid off.
and which ended up being there was a gift there. Like one of our spiritual brothers, I remember sitting in mushroom ceremony. His name was Mitch Asa. He said, everything's a gift. Everything's a gift. The good, the bad, the ugly. And I just, so I always use that line, is everything's a gift. And I remember I was in Peru with him at ayahuasca ceremony, and fucking losing his shit, and everything's a gift. And like yelling this out
Oh,
in
I
the
can
jungle,
imagine.
so but it was a gift because it allowed you to go back and kind of really start to look at what your passions are. Do you want to pursue what you went to school for, and that's psychology, or do you want to go into the nonprofit sector? So it allowed you, because coming off of like industrial real estate and a very fast-paced environment where the money was good, the hours were just like nonstop, so you didn't get to really breathe as far as doing what you wanted. It was just a job. and then your free time is used to just kind of get away from all that and go and keep yourself occupied, because then the rat race starts again.
Well, I will touch on that because that did come as quite the shock at that time, because I was just reintegrating back into everyday life and being around other people, and then all of a sudden that hit. And it kind of felt like it did set me back quite a bit. And I did have to dig into all of those tools and everything I learned from ayahuasca and everything that I had with me to push myself forward. But I knew that that was going to come to an end. I seen it. I knew that I was going to move forward. I just didn't know how. And so I just needed to allow and let everything be. And now as things have unraveled, months later now, everything is starting to fall into place.
It's fallen in place, and you know, a beautiful thing that comes off this father-daughter story is because you now truly understand what it's like to sit with medicine. You've also been able to help me when I've gotten stuck. I've had a lot of spiritual brothers and sisters that I reach out to, even your mom, I reach out to for guidance. But now you being able to pull out that light and be able to say, well, wait a minute, what about this? And having these deep, conscientious conversations where you can remind me, because just because I've said in ceremony a lot of times and we help people and so forth, it doesn't mean that I still don't need sometimes a sounding board where people can hear me out and also offer me words of wisdom, words of encouragement when I get stuck. Because, it's been a challenging year for me too. A lot of betrayal within the family, but we're not going to, we're not going to go into that on this episode, because
there's room for growth.
Let's not go there, because this episode's going to make a turn for the worse. But
we're going to stay on a positive
We'll do that
note
for now. We can stay in the positive this time, but that shit's coming in the future. We're not done with that. But, let's go back. Let's take a moment and let's ground. You know who you guys are. Okay.
So yes, I actually am taken aback myself by how much I can help you and be a sounding board and get into my power. And I honestly think that it's only straightened my psychology background and everything that I've studied and I've heard, and the things and the way that I wanted to not present myself, but who I wanted to be is what it gave me. And that's to be able to help people, which is why I don't mind sharing parts of my journey. And I don't mind having private conversations with people if they want to learn more about what my ceremony was like. And if I can help them by sharing parts of my story, and not just my journeys and my ceremonies, but also just parts of my whole story, my upbringing, the healing, the chaos to the peace. I'm finally living in my passion. I'm finally turning my passion, my purpose into my everyday life.
The beautiful thing is, as we started working together, again, not only with the products and stuff, but with real estate coming back in, there's been some times where we've hit some hiccups, but it's different now, because we go to our separate corners, and then either you'll call or you'll text or I'll call, and we're just quick to fix it. Or at least bring closure to it. Like, hey, maybe today didn't go the way it needed to, and we kind of push each other buttons, but, look forward to the next day. So it's not just letting it stew up and all of a sudden explode, but addressing it on site or in that moment, or even not in the moment, but later on, and then starting off the next day fresh.
Well, one of the things that we do now is we always leave on a positive note for the day, because even if things didn't go well during the day, or we had some pushback, or we might have gotten to it, or just not agreed on something, what I like is that we always leave every day on a positive note, whether that's an apology or whether it's I really enjoyed today and I can't wait for tomorrow.
Don't call me the rest of the night. Let's pick this up tomorrow. And we have a code word.
We do.
We have a fucking code word. So when we push each other. So
that's one of the most powerful things that we actually put in place, was the code word, because that code word is just what stops. Okay, stop. Let's step away. I encourage others to use a code word if you're just struggling with that thing, but The most important thing is both parties have to respect the code word.
Yeah, so fathers, create a code word with your children because it's gonna stop things from getting worse. And we just used it a couple days ago.
We did.
We've used it a couple times in the last couple weeks.
But we're learning
But we're learning
how to respect the code word.
You want to share a code word? No, maybe not.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so that's our code word. But when that code word comes out, then it's stop. It's okay. Conversation's over. Everybody retreat to their corners. I know when the code word was used in the last couple of days, I had to get up and exit myself from a location and drive away and needed the rest of the night to, cool off.
Well, I think one of the most important things that I'm learning now working together, because we're so alike, regardless that we've healed and we're more conscientious, we still have those moments. And it's okay to have those moments because it's okay to feel your feelings. However, it's what you choose to do with those feelings. And sometimes we just stay in them a little bit too much. So walking away is one of the most important things that I'm learning is when I start to get frustrated or I'm hitting my limit, I just walk away. Take a walk, come back, don't take calls until I recenter myself. And then I know that I did that a couple days ago where I'm just like, you know what, I'll give you a call back once I'm done sitting with myself.
Yeah. And something happened a couple of weeks ago that I want to share. And that's, I took you and some of our new team members on the real estate team, I took you guys to Vegas, to Grant Cardone, to the 10X conference. And I've always pushed you with motivation books and leadership books and so forth. And I was able to get us tickets. We went out there and something happened to you because when you came back, you unlocked, like literally Alyssa unlocked.
I did.
And I want you to share that because I think this all kind of comes into play with the journey that you've been on and then sitting with plant medicine and then going through the layoff and then trying to figure out the next step and then going to that conference and then listening to these billionaires speak about success and it wasn't like these long drawn out strategies. It was just simple concepts. So, if you're going to do something, do it even bigger. If you're going to fight, but what unlocked for you? Because there's something that happened when you got back to that conference.
I just hit the ground running. I did. I think for me, what the biggest part of that was ayahuasca unlocked my positive inner voice that told me I'm worthy, I can do this. However, I was missing a piece. And that conference, what I didn't realize at the time was that it was going to unlock that piece. It was going to put that piece into that puzzle that I was missing, and it was going to get me motivated. And when I seen all of these billionaires that were talking, what it did is it put me in a place to receive the messages. But also, I started realizing that these are all just regular people. They're no different from me. They're no different from the person sitting to the left, to the right of me, except for they put in the work. They pushed themselves. They gave themselves that drive. There was just something in them, whether they started off that way or they hit a dark time in their life and they decided that they flipped it. And that resonated with my journey because I've been to those dark places and I've been to the being laid off and, having relationships and being into those moments. And there is a choice that you make on how you choose to move forward. And what I realized is that they made the choice for themselves to push themselves even harder and to move forward. And it was all simple things. It was simple, obtainable things, obtainable methods that you could instill every day. And I finally just decided, what do I have to lose? That if I don't act now, it's not going to happen. So as soon as I got out of day 2, my Instagram's going public, my Facebook's going public, I'm going to start posting videos. And I was very hesitant before I did it. And I remember having this conversation saying, okay, am I going to do it? Am I not? And I said, you know what? No, I'm not going to live in fear anymore. I'm going to take the fear out of it. Because if I don't, then I'm never going to do it.
Wow.
So that's what I did. I finally, and Alyssa Unlocked is actually my Instagram
Alyssa
and TikTok handle. So
Yes, which I encourage you to follow because powerful content that you're just sharing your truth, you're sharing your authenticity, and that's a beautiful part about it. You know, there was a very special father-daughter moment that we shared in Vegas together, and I'm gonna go backwards and share a story. We used to go to Vegas all the time when you guys were little.
I grew up in Vegas.
We Dad had a little bit of a gambling problem. No, maybe loved going to Vegas, and we spent summer vacations there. We'd go for Thanksgiving. We'd stay there for 2 weeks. You know, we'd go for Memorial Day
That's
and Labor
fun.
Day. And, yeah, like literally, we'd stay there. We'd get a suite and we'd stay there for a week. Um, but I remember walking through the casino at the MGM, and Hakkasan had just opened up. And I don't think if it was, I know it was you and Marissa. I'm not sure if Clarissa was born yet, but I remember right there looking and say, one day I'm going to take you there. And it was just kind of just a funny moment of a dad saying, yeah, I look forward to having a beer with my daughter, you know. And so fast forward, 25 plus years later, we went to the nightclub. We went to Hakkasan.
We did. That was fun.
That was a blast. We were just rolling and laughing and without alcohol
Without alcohol.
because I don't drink anymore.
And I don't drink anymore either.
And so it's funny the way things turn out because, I always look forward to one day sharing a drink with my daughter at the club. And then it happened in Vegas at Hakkasan, but it was with non-alcoholic.
Technically, we shared a drink. It was non-alcoholic. But
Yeah.
that I had so much fun. And also, I didn't know that you were so funny. I'm just going to be honest. I didn't know you were so funny because we've been out together before in bars. Like, that's not something that's new for us. It's just from a different place. And I always felt like there was a disconnection. It was, I'm used to being with friends or with, at this point. And then I don't know if it was foreign for you, but it would always felt like a disconnection. And it took me a while, and it took the alcohol to loosen me up. And now I'm just in such a different place where I'm like, well, I don't need alcohol. I don't care. I'm just going to have fun. I don't care what anybody says or who's watching. I'm just going to have this time because I'm not going to get this moment back. So I was having fun, and then you started saying some really funny things, and I was like, wow, he's really funny. This is actually, and it just brought out that moment even more. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm sorry for dragging you out so late, but it was worth it.
No, it was a good time. We didn't get it till like 3, 4 in the morning, but it was fun. Yeah, and it was just, being in there and just looking at things, with a conscientious eye lens and not being under the influence of alcohol, and just looking at so much hurt and trauma of just people drinking in order to try to fit in, or drinking to have that liquid courage to go ask someone to dance. Like, you start to see all these things, and you see like the ones that are drinking away their pain, the ones that lost their money are drinking away their pain, the ones that are just looking for community and tribe. Like, you start to become aware of like everything around you, and then add in my ad lib, impersonations of different people as they were talking, and yeah, it was just 2-3 hours of just laughter and just crack up. So that was a powerful father-daughter moment that I'm glad we got to experience because it came full circle. Not the way I thought it was going to happen, but even better.
It was a lot better. It was different for me too, because I actually think that's the first time that I've been out without having a drink.
Wow.
So it was very interesting for me to, at first I didn't know how it was going to be. And then once I got there, I was just like, no, I'm good. I'm going to have a good time.
And thank goodness, because I think the Red Bull that I bought was like
Oh, it was
$18 or $24, so a drink would have been like $30.
And the water
so.
that I got, and I said I would have.
Oh yeah, the water was $18.
Before.
So let's not even get started.
But you
about
said
it.
it had. We were going to have a drink together, so we
Yes.
fulfilled that.
Yes, but it was non-alcoholic.
It was not alcoholic. We
Yes.
fulfilled it, but yeah.
So, well, as we bring conclusion, what a beautiful episode, and we just dabbled into a lot of father-daughter moments from the past, working together, to now working together again. We dabbled into each other's journeys now with plant medicine, and just all the unraveling that happens with father-daughter. Any closing thoughts for you?
I didn't plan that. um, I'm just happy that we're in a place now um, where we can actually communicate and where we can talk um, in all modalities of our life, between like just having a conversation or me being able to ask you for advice. Um, Thank you. I'm so grateful to you for providing all the support before, and there was a lot after I did ceremony, because there were a lot of things that I went through, and you really helped me walk through those. And I'm also excited because we can finally just jump back into business together, and it's in a different place. And now I get to learn, and I feel like I'm in a different place to be able to hear everything you've been saying my entire life, because I grew up off of motivational videos. I grew up off of these books. I grew up off of the mindset, the encouragement that you gave me, but it just kind of got lost along the way as I got into my teen years and things got rocky. But I am so glad to be in a place where now I can hear you. Not to say that sometimes I might block you out just a little bit, take a walk, but I'm really happy of where we are. And I look forward to helping others however I can to get there, and anyone that's struggling with their relationship with their fathers, whether it the opportunity of being able to reconciliate or the opportunity of them being able to just heal themselves and move forward. Because I know what it's like.
You know, one of the greatest compliments I got today, you know, you came over and spent the night the other day. And then we worked together, and, you know, so I have a homework office that I work from during the week and stuff. And she came over, and one of the greatest compliments that you gave today that was unsolicited was you said, you know what I missed? Uh, when I left, I was actually, I'm paraphrasing, but you said something effect of, I missed not being here.
I
I wish
did.
I was, you know, so that was a compliment to know that we're in a space now that, and we were working together. It was great because you were in one room working on stuff, and I was in the other one. We're building the business together again. We're building it. It's a family-run business, and that's beautiful and powerful. So I'm excited too on this journey as we're both stepping into this level of conscientious and really building a business based off of conscientiousness and love and really with our heart and doing the right thing, and the abundance will come, whatever that is. So I'm excited. Here in closing, thank you again, like I said, for being a part of this. And I don't know, maybe we'll be doing some more stuff together with Fatherhood Voices. I really love this synergy. And if you see this book here, it's called Healing the Inner Brat. And just wanted to share that this is a story of chronological of how your inner child, how it impacts you as a child. And if you get a chance, order the book. It's on Amazon, or reach out, and be happy to send you a copy. But this is my journey with healing my inner child, or as I like to call, healing my inner brat. With that, welcome, Fatherhood Voices. We're back, season 2. Continue to stay tuned because there's a lot more episode coming with a lot of context and a lot of content. All right? Awesome.